Good evening. Lexington is coming off its deadliest weekend of the year. 3 people lost their lives to gun violence in the span of 24 hours.
The city has now seen 19 homicides so far this year. The 3 latest homicides happened from early Saturday morning to early Sunday morning. We've pointed out those areas for you here of the investigation. Now, the first shooting happening on South Broadway early Saturday morning. Police say 18-year-old Demetrius Hampton was shot and killed. A search is underway for the suspect, 21-year-old Jacoby Williams. Police calling him armed and dangerous. Lexington police say 2 people died in a murder-suicide Saturday afternoon. Police say Sammy Eunice shot and killed 23-year-old Christina Fikes before turning the gun on himself. And the third shooting happening early Sunday morning on West Main Street. 38-year-old Taiwan Pearson died at the hospital from a gunshot wound.
The spike in violence comes as the city is gathering right now for a prayer vigil to honor gun violence victims. WKYT's Jessica Umbro is joining us live from downtown Lexington as that vigil is getting underway. Jessica?
Yeah, the event to remember and to honor murder victims here in Lexington is currently underway. And while this is an annual day of remembrance, it comes on the heels of a violent 24 hours here in Lexington, which saw 3 shootings total.
It's a responsibility that we all share collectively. Unfortunately, all of us aren't engaged in that fight. And that's the reason why we have a lot of the results that we do.
Corey Dunn works with One Lexington, a city program aimed at reducing gun violence among youth and young adults in Lexington. This past weekend, 3 deadly shootings happened in Lexington. Dunn says he knows some of the victims and their families, making his work to reduce gun violence personal, not just professional.
But when I know the people who are impacted by the violence, the people who are suffering, those who survive the victims, it's very personal, so I do my utmost to make sure that they don't have to suffer any further.
Dunn says when it comes to gun violence, it's often difficult to be proactive instead of reactive.
A lot of times everyone expects the police to stop the violence, but they're a reactionary force. They cannot press charges, they can't arrest you for thinking about doing something wrong. You actually have to commit the crime first.
This event will be ongoing for about the next hour. Now, these impacts of these shootings will permeate throughout the community long after this event wraps up. And we tried to contact Lexington police for any comments about this recent uptick in violence and what they plan to do. However, they refuse to comment at this time. Live in Lexington, Jessica Umbro, WKYT.
Jessica, thank you very much. And as we told you as we began this report, there have been 19 homicides in Lexington so far this year. 2022 set a record number of homicides. This time last year, there had already been 36 homicides. A WKYT fact check is now going to show you as we dig deeper into the numbers that of the 19 homicides this year, 10 cases remain unsolved. All but 1 case involved a deadly shooting. And according to Lexington police, 3 of the 19 homicides this year are domestic violence related. That includes the death of 9-month-old Sakia Epps in July, the shooting death of 80-year-old Arla Stewart last week on Marshall Lane, and the murder-suicide over the weekend leading to the death of 23-year-old Christina Fikes. 2022 saw a rise in domestic violence related cases with 13 reported domestic violence related homicides last year.